It just seems that your job gets harder and harder because of the cycle that I kind of mentioned earlier, that the drugs just keep getting cheaper, they are more addictive. So where is law enforcement in the front lines of this, and what can law enforcement do better, or what can happen on the law enforcement side to at least slow this down? Because it just feels like you take a drug dealer off the street and 5 more fill that person's spot.
Well, yeah, I agree with the judge. First of all, that the pharmaceutical companies and the overprescribing really helped create this dilemma. But I was a narcotic officer, back in the 70s, and heroin was a problem then. It's just more pure now, more dangerous now because of the fentanyl and all the other things that they're mixing with it. But I think most law enforcement agencies have come to the conclusion a long time ago that we're not the answer, and that we're never going to arrest our way out of this problem. There's always been a hesitancy on our part to get involved with the social networks. We thought they didn't understand us, and we certainly didn't understand them. But I think there's more openness to that now. We've done it in Lorraine County. I see it everywhere. And I think that what we can do is, first of all, I think we have a bully pulpit in the sense that the media pays a lot of attention to what we do and say. And we can certainly talk about the programs that, like the drug courts, the Perry program, where, we have a program where they can come to the police station and say, hey, I have a problem. Right. And we don't arrest them. We don't, even if they have something on them, we don't arrest them, And there's so many other, but I think what we need to be a voice for is, I can tell you the problem we have as the cop on the street, is that we run into overdose, whether it's a fatality or somebody that just has overdose. There really isn't any help in the middle of the night and on weekends. And even when they do overdose, we take them to the hospital. A lot of times they don't even have addresses. So if we can't get them into the hospital, then we have no place to take them. And we've tried to get them to come to the scene on weekends and in the evenings. That hasn't worked out very well. And sometimes you have to go to them because they're just completely, their addiction has control over them. Right. And they're not going to seek out that help until they're really ready. So I think what we can do is talk about those issues, be part of community networks, whether it's task forces or we have a project down in Lorraine County also. I think we just have to look at other avenues, but the main thing we need detox, a place to take them to detox, and we need a residential treatment, which doesn't exist in our county.
Right.
That's a big problem for us.
I'm really encouraged by our law enforcement's response to this. The Perry type programs, police, addiction recovery initiatives, and I forget the acronym. Police don't want to arrest another person. They want what we all want, a healthy community. So, they're working to gain the trust of those who are sick and need a recovery to come in. We'll get you help. Berea has a great program. Olmsted Falls has a great program. These are, moving across our area and taking hold and building, and it's really encouraging. And it's kind of a, organic infrastructure build. Somebody gets arrested or somebody ODs, the police can take them someplace where they're going to get help. They have some places, as the chief said, but they don't have enough. Right.
And to your point, gentlemen, access to service, I would only imagine, as you talked about, in Cuyahoga County, while we have some 24/7 environments, primarily residential, some of our detox, we're not, for the most part, we're a system that operates in banking hours. And we have got to figure out a way to expand the services. It's frightening for me as a public servant in behavioral health that a person must wait at times up to 4 weeks for women, up to 5 weeks for men. That's challenging for me. We're getting better I will say, by the addition of extra treatment beds, contracts with sober housing, and other options, ambulatory detox or outpatient detox, if you will. But accessing service is probably one of the 10 tall hurdles as the incoming CEO that I'll inherit from Chief Dennehan. How do we fix this? How do we get better at it? And of course, at the core of these conversations is funding.
Well, look at her point. It's, dependency is a chronic disease. So is hypertension, which means if left untreated, it will kill you. Now, if I'm having a hypertensive episode and I go to the ER, they're not going to tell me to come back in 4 weeks.
Right.
They're going to take me in right away when I'm ready to be treated, when the problem is discovered. We need to treat dependency the same way we treat other chronic diseases.
I don't pretend to be an expert in this. I don't. But over the last 2 years, I've probably had thousands of hours of conversations, literally just. And there's two collaboratives that I really think I kept hearing and even talking even to the Attorney General's office about. Collaboration number one is that because of the scope of this problem, all of us need to work together, every single one of us. Collaboration number two is we are very blessed across the region, not just Cuyahoga County, across the region with a lot of service providers, but there is no collaboration with them, and especially how do we learn best practices, best techniques, so that effectiveness goes up, honestly, efficiency goes up, and it would stretch the very, very limited resources that are out there. It would make those dollars even more effective. But, Chief, even to the conversation, this was about 5 months ago, I was in a conversation, there's a guy who's running a very good rehab facility and expanding in Elyria. Wonderful. And literally 3 minutes away, there's another group that's going to build one. The two of them didn't even know that each other existed. And I'm literally, one's here, one's there, and I said, I'm having these conversations, well, why don't you two meet? I'm gonna go have lunch, right? But the point is, how do we get the service providers to figure out that, especially because of the magnitude of this, if they would get together and streamline themselves, and again, learn best practices, it really would make them more effective, more efficient, and take limited resources and make them go farther.